Your computer's motherboard is like its brain, and the BIOS is like the brain's operating system. It's a little program that tells your computer how to work. See, when you turn on your computer, the BIOS is the first thing that runs. It gets everything going. Sometimes you need to update the BIOS. It's like getting an update for your phone. The updates can make your computer faster and better. They can also fix problems. Sometimes you need a BIOS update to use new hardware. For a B450 motherboard, updating the BIOS is extra important. The B450 chipset is designed to work with AMD Ryzen processors. AMD is always coming out with new Ryzen CPUs. Updating your BIOS ensures that your motherboard can use the latest CPUs. So, updating the BIOS is a good thing. It helps your computer run smoothly. In the next section, we'll gather everything we need. Before we get started with updating the BIOS on your B450 motherboard, we'll need a few things. Don't worry, it's nothing too fancy. First, you'll need a USB flash drive. Make sure it's a blank one because we're going to put some files on it. You can use an old one you have lying around, or you can buy a new one. They're pretty cheap these days. Next, you'll need a computer with an internet connection. We'll be using this computer to download the BIOS update file. You can use the same computer that has the B450 motherboard, or you can use a different one. It's up to you. Finally, you'll need to know the model of your B450 motherboard. This is important because we need to download the right BIOS update file for your specific motherboard. Don't worry, finding out your motherboard model is easy. In the next section we'll find your motherboard model and grab that BIOS update. Knowing your motherboard model is key. It's like knowing your car's make and model. You wouldn't want to put the wrong fuel in your car, right? The same goes for your motherboard and BIOS updates. Luckily, finding out your motherboard model is easy. Look for your motherboard's manual. Your motherboard's name will be on the front. If you don't have the manual, don't fret. You can also find the motherboard model printed on the motherboard itself. Look for a label or sticker on the board. It'll have the model number on it. Once you know your motherboard model, head over to the manufacturer's website. Look for a support or download section. There you'll find the latest BIOS update for your motherboard. Download the file and save it to your computer. Make sure you download the correct file for your specific motherboard model. Now let's prepare that USB flash drive. It's time to update your BIOS. Take a deep breath. I'll guide you through each step of the way. It's easier than you think. First, we need to format the USB drive. This will erase everything on the drive, so make sure you've backed up any important files. Right-click on the USB drive in your computer and select Format. Choose the FAT32 file system and click Start. Now copy the BIOS update file to your formatted USB drive. Once that's done, safely eject the drive from your computer. Now, turn off your computer with the B450 motherboard and unplug it from the power outlet. This is important because we don't want any power surges while we're updating the BIOS. Next, plug the USB drive into a USB port on your motherboard. Power on your computer and keep pressing the delete key on your keyboard. This will take you to the BIOS setup menu. The key to enter the BIOS might be different for your motherboard. Look for a message on the screen that says something like press key to enter setup. Once you're in the BIOS setup menu, look for a section called something like BIOS Update or Flash BIOS. The exact name will vary depending on your motherboard. Select the option to update the BIOS from a USB drive. Follow the on-screen instructions to select the BIOS update file from your USB drive. Now the BIOS update process will begin. This might take a few minutes. Whatever you do, don't turn off your computer during the update.